Hey everyone, in this video, excuse me, in this video we're going to talk about the myth of starvation mode, so to speak. And this video kind of came up because you have a client, like she's working with a client right now who is successfully losing like what, 1 pound a week?
Yeah, she's lost. She's went from like almost 160 down to 130.
Losing like a pound a week,
yeah.
Eating what, 800 calories per day?
Yeah, we can budget.
Yeah.
Like we worked on it for quite a while. Like that's just what her movement allows for.
And a lot of people have a lot of pushback against this. They're like, oh, that's unsustainable. Like that's unhealthy, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, well,
when they say those things, I know for a fact they have not worked with a sedentary small woman ever.
Yeah.
They have not. Like, unless you have worked with one, like you have no idea how little it takes to run a body. A small body.
A sedentary small woman is, well, a perfect example with your client's case. Her maintenance is like 1,400 calories.
Yep, we found her maintenance and that's what she was maintaining at for like 3 weeks.
So if you're going to see like consistent, fat loss that doesn't take forever to achieve, you got to eat 800 calories a day. That's just what needs to happen unless you are able to be more active and increase your energy expenditure.
Which would be the ideal, but some people can't do that.
Yeah, some people can't. So they have to eat less. It's oftentimes something I've found to be successful with people that purchase our Fat Loss Blueprint program is if they have a low burn like that, I'll have them do some form of modified alternate day fasting where they eat like their 1,400 calories to maintain their weight, maybe 4 days a week. And then 3 days a week, they just don't eat except for a big, veggie and protein packed dinner meal. That's only like, 500 calories or so. And when you net it out over the week, they end up creating, almost like maybe 3/4 of a pound of fat loss per week by restricting only 3 days out of those weeks, but like really restricting on those 3 days. And that's more sustainable over the long term for some people than just daily chronic restriction. Yeah. But it just depends on what they prefer doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely one that has to do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that.
And so this is getting us into the main point of this, which is that people say it's unsustainable and it's unhealthy.
Yeah, we came
starvation
across
mode.
An Instagram post where, he was out of his...
It was a psychologist. He was out of his realm of expertise.
But he shouldn't have been posting.
Yeah, he was saying like you shouldn't be eating less than 1,600 calories.
No matter who you are.
Which was ridiculous. A lot of people are familiar with that like 1,200 calorie cutoff. And it comes down to, generally speaking, eating such little calories is not healthy over the long term, and it's not sustainable because you're not giving your body all of the nutrients it needs to function optimally.
Yeah, most people would wither away. If they were eating 800 calories chronically, they would turn out like that one chick that we were looking at.
Oh, yeah.
Like she was severely anorexic.
Yeah, exactly.
Most people don't ever go that far. Like it takes a certain level of neuroticism.
Right, but it's necessary. But it's necessary for fat loss for some people, right?
It depends on their starting point. And if you're... I just don't like the comment that most women need 1,800 calories and they cannot go under. Yeah,
that's a good one. It depends on the person. But even if you're dealing with people like that are obese and burning like 3,000 calories a day, Roy Taylor's research puts them on 800 calorie liquid diets to reverse their diabetes for like 3 months. Like as long as you're ensuring adequate nutrient intake through something like a multivitamin, there is no risk in doing that over the short term. And in fact, it can make the entire dieting process easier because you're not dieting for 1 to 2 years out of your life. You're taking several months, 3 to 6 months to just hammer it out. And then you get to increase your calories back up to maintain your new lower body weight.
I do want to say it's probably best to have someone dial you in the beginning if you're going to drop that low.
I agree.
That's what I do for people. Like I make sure that their nutrients are covered when they're eating that low. Like you don't get a choice either. Like you have to eat more nutrient dense vegetables. Like, you can't be a child about it and be like, I don't like vegetables.
Yep, I agree with that. So as far as starvation mode goes, people are like, no, you're just going to stop burning calories. You know, you'll even gain fat because your body's like, I need to store this. You can't do that. If that actually happened, people would not starve to death.
Anyone that has ever had a successful eating disorder knows that's fucking bullshit.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. I'm sure many of you are familiar with how like someone in severe anorexia looks. How could that happen if starvation mode was a thing? Like it couldn't. Like I mean, just from that alone, the whole idea is completely bonkers.
Now, does it decrease your vitality, your quality of life? Yes.
Of course.
Does it lower your non-exercise
activity thermogenesis, your NEAT? Yeah. Does it lower your physical activity? Yes.
Does it lower thyroid hormones?
Yes. Like dieting lowers your energy expenditure in numerous ways. It makes you more efficient at moving around. So if you were burning 100 calories walking a mile, now you're only burning 80, and it adds up through the day because your body becomes more efficient at using what energy it has.
But that's not starvation mode.
Yeah, that's just a natural adaptation to dieting. It's also an adaptation to being very active. Does your thyroid hormone and like if you're a man, does your testosterone decrease? Yeah, because your body is trying to conserve energy.
Progesterone for a woman.
And that reduces energy expenditure. Does your fidgeting and your other forms of non-exercise activity thermogenesis get reduced so that you're burning you're burning less miscellaneous calories through the day? Yeah, because your body's trying to conserve energy. Does your physical activity energy expenditure go down because you don't feel like, going for a walk? You don't feel like taking the stairs. Yeah, because your mind is focused on getting you to conserve energy, so it doesn't want you moving around. Can you overcome all of that by getting your ass to the gym and on a treadmill or whatever? Yeah, you can. You can use willpower to overcome it.
I wouldn't even say it's willpower. I think it becomes habit.
True.
In the beginning, maybe a little willpower, but after a couple weeks,
True.
It's habit.
All of this,
I do
though.
all that. When I'm dieting, my burn goes down.
Yeah.
I'm hypothyroid. My thyroid tanks every time I diet too.
All of this is a natural part of dieting because your body wants to conserve energy. And all of it returns to normal once you start eating in maintenance again.
Yep. You don't do permanent metabolic damage for the rest of your life.
Yeah, there is no evidence of that.
That's from what we know.
Yeah.
And from what we see.
And I will mention, like, a lot of people think of the Biggest Loser study that came out, I don't know, a couple years ago, that suggested that there are like permanent long-term changes in metabolism. I disagree. Well, first of all, the applicability of that study to everyone else is questionable because these were like morbidly obese people that did ridiculous amounts of exercise every day while starving themselves. It's just not a situation most individuals are in when they're dieting. Second, the whole permanent metabolic downregulation was based on an equation that the researchers themselves generated based on the attributes of these people. If instead you plug the attributes of these individuals into established equations like the Mifflin-St. Hoare or Harris-Benedict, you actually see that their estimated energy expenditure is right where you would expect it for anyone else if you grabbed their stats and popped them into the calculator. So their energy expenditure was reduced based on this novel equation that has zero external validity and was only designed for these people when they were at their most obese state. So there are just certain aspects of the study that I don't agree with. Yeah. And other than that,
it isn't supportive. So if you're like supporting or using that to support metabolic damages.
Yeah, I just don't think you can use that study outside of the study itself. Like, it has low external validity, in my opinion. And other than that, there isn't really any good evidence that any of these metabolic adaptations stay with you permanently.
Mine don't. Mine don't. Like, I'm having a hard time gaining weight right now, even on nearing 3,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
But when I diet like I drop my calories pretty low.
Yeah.
As far as the thyroid down-regulating, it's around 200 calories, so a protein bar. So it's not much.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? I don't think so. Oh, well, I will mention too, based on the Minnesota starvation experiment conducted by Ansel Keys, metabolic rate declines with weight loss. The majority of it is because you lose body mass. When you have less body mass, you have less mass that needs to be kept alive, first of all, so your resting energy expenditure decreases for that reason. And second of all, when you move around, you're not just more efficient now, but you're also lighter, which means it just takes less calories because you're lighter, right? How you would burn more energy like going hiking with a 100-pound backpack than without it, right? Because you weigh more. It takes, like, your muscles have to work harder. And the metabolic component, the metabolic downregulation.
That's what I was referring
to. In Ansel Keys' Minnesota starvation study amounted to like 200 or 300 calories per day. I think it was 15% of their basal metabolic rate got cut off, just 15% of that.
And that's what I usually go off of, like when people are doing long-term dieting.
And it restored when they regained their weight, it came back.
And that's why we say that from what we know right now, it does go back to normal, like everything. Hormones, a lot of people think that hormones are permanently altered. They could be if you start dieting in like before perimenopause and then you start going through perimenopause, then your hormones are jacked up, right? But is it because you dieted? No.
Yeah.
It's because time.
Yep. So, all right, that was this. Starvation mode is basically a myth, something just spurred by the fact that she has a client successfully losing fat on 800 calories per day. If you're eating that little and you're not losing fat, then honestly, you're probably just eating more than you think. I know people don't like to hear that or to accept it, but that's what the research suggests. And
I find a lot of people are just scanning barcodes and not weighing stuff when
that's another good one. You
calories.
Eat prepackaged food. Guess what? FDA allows for 20% variance. That means 20% more or less than what's actually there. So if you're not actually like weighing something out, for example, you could be getting a lot more than you
even
think.
if you weigh it, I think there's a 20%.
You know,
they're making things in batches, right?
What I'm saying is there's a 20% in the nutrition facts. So if I eat a protein bar that is 100 calories, then as long as it has between 80 and 120 calories, it's good to go for as far as like the FDA.
Yeah. So if you're eating packaged food all day long, that adds up. That can add up to a couple hundred calories.
Yeah.
Which is a lot for a small woman.
Yeah.
Like we don't get much food.
No, you don't.
I do right now.
True. Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right, folks. That was it. If you liked it, awesome. That's what we're trying to do. Share the video with a friend. Give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks, everyone.